Welcome to Bad Games Summer, the time of year where I hate myself so much that I play garbage for your entertainment. Today's filth is 2011's X-Men Destiny, a game that went through development hell and was universally disliked on every console by basically every X-Men fan. Truly, we hadn't seen Unity like this since X3 was released in theaters about 5 years before this game was. This is the Wii version because I read that it was the worst non-handheld console version available, which was actually pretty common for every multi-platform game that came out during that console generation. And I can confirm that it was about as fun as getting stabbed in the anus with Gambit's quarterstaff, or getting stabbed in the anus with anything, now that I think of it. I guess that's why I can't ever work for Disney. Anyways, like a glitter bomb that was replaced with diarrhea, there's a lot to unpack here, so let's get started. The game starts with a cutscene, which will be animated if you're playing anything but the Wii version, of some peace rally that gets attacked by an anti-mutant group called the Purifiers, which is about as on the nose and predictable as you can get. They're kidnapping mutants for some sinister reason because blah blah blah, the story sucks and you won't care about it within 10 minutes of playing this. At no time during this game did I feel remotely interested in what was going on, and neither will you. Heck, you might get bored listening to me complain about it during this review, but now that I've said that, I can blame the game and pretend it's not my fault. See how sneaky I am? You play as one of three very ugly characters: Grant the jock, some guy named Adrian who looks like Andrew Ridgeley from Wham, and some chick named Amy whose backstory I couldn't be bothered to read because I couldn't get over how stupid she looks. Something about her dad, because it's always about their dads, right? Anyway, whichever one you pick, you get to pick which starting power set they get, then experience their powers manifesting for the first time. You will not care about any of these people because you bought an X-Men game to play as the X-Men, not them. It's like going to an Indiana Jones movie only to find out that he's not really the main character and he's being constantly upstaged by an insufferable feminist. But then again, aren't they all? And actually seeing any of the famous mutants in this doesn't really make it any better. There is no excitement in seeing any of the characters as they pop up, which they make sure you pay attention to because everybody, and I'm saying everybody, who comes on screen for the first time gets to pause the action while we see their name in giant letters. This will wear on you very quickly, and this alone made me want to attach the disc to one of my Roman candles and shoot it into the sky on the 4th of July. Portraits pop up as characters talk throughout the game, and I mean, just look at them. Their faces are all weirdly contorted like those old rubber face toys. I mean, it's still better than I draw. Anyway, the powers in this are really bland and generic too, and you won't be excited about choosing any of them. There's energy projection, which is just balls of yellow energy that you can eventually use as bombs. Then there's density control, which kind of looks like you grow rocks on your hands and feet and hit stuff. And lastly, shadow matter, which is like a really crappy ripoff of Psylocke's powers. All of these power sets have a basic strike and a ground pound. Then once you get to upgrade them at various points in the story, you can do some more with them. And guess what? They're still not fun, and most of the time you'll just mash the basic attack button while the brain dead enemies run right into it. And then most of the time your attacks will pass right through enemies and still somehow register as a hit. But you still don't really know whether you're damaging them or not, because there's no other indication of anything else happening. If you're still having trouble fighting hordes of retards, you'll pick up items called X-genes in breakable boxes, and they have genes or DNA or whatever from characters like Magneto, Wolverine, and Iceman. These will give you various additional abilities like poisoning enemies, health regeneration, or in Iceman's case, you'll do an ice slide to make the already crappy controls even harder to use. How did these characters' DNA end up in a pile of boxes or on the floor? What type of DNA is it? I don't want to know because it sounds disgusting and it would get a normal person arrested. You can also dodge, but that means either reaching for the directional pad on the Wii remote or doing a waggle motion, which means you don't want to dodge at all. You'll want to fly through these ugly levels as quickly as possible to see if the next one will be better, but it won't be, and you'll start to get really impatient trying because each level is an absolute slog to get through. Oddly enough, the levels are pretty linear, but the compass gives you a really minimal idea of where to go, so you'll still get lost at times. The camera doesn't do you any favors either, as it changes perspectives frequently and in general is just terrible to use. You'll run forward, fight some guys, then maybe climb up a wall and then jump to another area to fight some more guys, and then eventually you'll have to hunt for ways to unlock rooms you'll need to get into to do the same thing all over again. Each of the levels at least looks kind of different from the last, but that doesn't mean you'll actually enjoy them at all. As I mentioned earlier, you'll meet an X-Man and Brotherhood member conveniently at the same time, and then after talking to each of them, you decide who you'll want to work with, and as a result, who you'll disappoint on the other side. This gives you the illusion that your story is going to change depending on your decisions, kind of like Mass Effect or something like that. But as I would try out each of the different characters and switch sides, there's very little that actually changes in the story other than you getting the more famous mutant you didn't side with being passive aggressive with you about going with the other guy. And that just comes off as petty. This is admittedly a quick review because this game just didn't have a lot going on with it, which I guess in a way I'm kind of thankful for. You'd think that after games like the X-Men Legends series, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, or even Capcom's Versus titles, another X-Men game would have been easy to make. And on paper, X-Men Destiny actually sounds pretty cool. Develop your own powers and form your own story while playing with your favorite heroes or villains from the X-Men universe. Who wouldn't go for that? But the end product was poorly executed and probably should have been canceled instead of releasing is what we got. The good thing that I will say about this, and it is seriously the one good thing, is that at least this isn't as bad as the Uncanny X-Men game on the NES. That should be on a future Bad Game Summer episode for sure. That's all for today. Tune in next time to see what I torture myself with next. Thanks for watching. Congratulations! You're one of an elite few to make it to the end of the video. Reward yourself by hitting the round subscribe button in the middle, and then check out the other goodies I've got, the links next to it.